Well, welcome back to episode 2, where the Thumbs Up team are back on the open road to enthrall, entertain and educate you in their own shambolic way. If you've made it this far, you've clearly got a strong constitution and survived that first episode where we featured, among other things, the team's first foray into street photography. I think Colin must be still practicing because he's gone AWOL for this episode. Colin, mate, if you're out there, send us a sign.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Thumbs Up the Photography Show. This week, Steve and Martin are in a cold and crisp Cannock Chase. Dave's over in the sunny climes of Tenerife doing some astrophotography. And I'm here in Wales and I'm going to give you a bit of a guide to waterfalls and my style of photography. But all that's coming up later in the episode. But for now, let's jump over to Steve and see what he's getting up to.
Okay, so I've come a little trek round, 5-10 minute walk, not far. And I've come to a couple of sets of trees that I photographed about a month or so ago, maybe 6 weeks, something like that. When we just had a little snowfall. And I'm thinking it could work again, but for totally different reasons. Because yes, we've got the frost and ice, but we haven't got that snow that's stuck to the trees. We've got no hoarfrost. But what we have got, looking like, is a potential nice sunrise. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to set up and maybe re-photograph these trees and see if they're any different. And I don't think I'm in a bad location here to move on and try and get some other images as well, because I'm going to go walk round, down, and then do like a big loop, I think. Some nice silver birch over the back there that just stick out. And again, until this light happens, I won't be sure what I'm going to be photographing. So I'm just going to take the opportunity while it's here. I mean, it even looks quite nice now, just with that nice colour in the sky. So I'm gonna retake similar shots to what I took 6 weeks ago.
This man has the irritating habit of being in the right place at the right time on so many occasions. Jammy git.
Now I know Dave's been sunning it in Tenerife.
I'm actually on holiday. It's January, beautiful moon, and I came here for a bit of winter sun and it's been brilliant.
You know what? I'd rather be in the cold. I'm a cold weather person, even though I do suffer with hot aches and my hands and things like that, but I'd rather be cold than too warm. I hate that. I've got no energy whatsoever. At least when you're cold you can create energy to get warm, and I prefer it that way. So Dave, are you enjoying yourself over there?
Tonight I thought I would photograph for you some star trails. If you don't know what they are, then the best way to explain it, I guess, is you point the camera kind of northish, and as the Earth rotates about the North Pole, the stars appear to move. And obviously it's us that's moving. The stars make a streak, and I've got the Olympus 01 Mark II with me. I brought it on holiday along with us today, and it's brilliant for this kind of photography because it's got a feature called live composite, and what it does is it stacks the images one on top of the other. You may have seen me do it earlier in the series when I was in London, and Star Trails it works brilliantly here. So what I've done is I've used a compass, I've used an app called Photo Pills, and Photo Pills shows me where the Milky Way is. It shows me where the stars are going to rotate and show me the kind of the curve of them, if you like, or the arc of them. And what I've tried to do is point the camera with a little bit of foreground of it, sea coming in around some rocks here. And these rocks are really volcanic. And Tenerife is fascinating. There's so many microclimates I wasn't aware of. As you go up into the mountains at the highest peak in Spain, on top of in Tenerife, and as you go up, you climb through, as you'll see from here, we climb through fog, we climb through forests. The fauna is different. There's cacti, all sorts of really interesting things. But the rock here by the beach is volcanic, as all the rock on Tenerife seems to be. I've got that in the foreground. In the distance, just kind of northwestish, there's another island. I can't remember the name of it. I'll put the name up here somewhere. And something weird going on the island, because the star trails are forming really nicely. I've got some horizontal ones, which are really odd. So I don't know whether somebody's flying a drone on there or a helicopter or something. There's something that's definitely making some swirly light patterns. Now, let me show you the back of the camera as this is developing. The camera's been going about 45 minutes so far, and I'm going to get it to over an hour, I think, to see how these trails look. So this is what it's looking like so far, and you can see top of the screen here, we've got 55 minutes. That's how long we've been going. The exposures are 10-second each. There's been 332 of them so far. And you can do this with any camera because you can actually stack all this software together in a Photoshop or other software programs. But what is great about this Olympus is that it does it for you in camera. So there are 334 exposures all on the base exposure. And the only thing it's recording are things that are brighter than the previous. So because the sky is dark, as you can see, as the stars appear to move, they light up and create this trail. Now, this one over here, one at the bottom left, I'm pretty sure is Venus. And when I came out, you can see where it was in the sky, and that is now dipped below the horizon. So we're going to carry on here for another, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, and then I'll show you the finished photo. See what you think. We're still going, but I'm going to stop this in a minute, and what I'm going to do now is put the finished photograph on the stream for you and let we know what we think. Astro is something that I've never tried before. This is the first time I've shot star trails. Technique involves finding north. It involves focusing really carefully on the stars, not just setting the camera on the infinity. Obviously, you have to have a tripod, keep the camera very stable, and then just let it do its thing. The other thing that you need is patience, of course. But I really enjoyed that. I did some the other night, some Astro with the Z8 and a 1.8 24mm lens, which I got really excited about because of the Milky Way, and it was fantastic. If you want to see that, pop back to my channel and have a look. But for now, from Tenerife, to go back to the guys back in the UK.
I've set this composition up, realising that I've definitely got to bracket the shot. Well, I knew I was going to have to bracket the shot because of the extreme differences in luminosity in the light, and so I can try and get a little bit of detail in the foreground. That's the first thing. So I've actually going 3 stops, bracketing 3-shot bracket, 3 stops either side, because I've just had a look manually and 2 stops wasn't quite enough. So I'm gonna grab that. The colour in the sky is really nice, and we're not even getting the sunrise yet. And if it does come through, fingers crossed, it will be absolutely beautiful. And I know I say that all the time, but it should be. We've almost got this mackerel sky coming over. It's whether that sun can get in between it. I'm liking the light, I'm liking that light. It's quite nice actually. So I think what I'm going to do, wait here, be patient. So while you're waiting for me, see what the others are up to.
So this week you joined me in a lovely little Welsh stream with one of my favourite little waterfalls, and what I thought I'd do is a little bit of a beginner's guide, or my guide to how I shoot waterfalls. I suppose step 1 is well, find a waterfall. That's a bit obvious. But step 2 is get yourself a composition, and I'm not going to go into too much details about that. To be honest, it's just like any other composition that you'll take in landscape photography. Think about foreground interest, think about your main subject, consider things like the rule of thirds, consider the light, you know, just like you would with any other photograph. As far as foreground interest goes, well, usually the obvious choice is a plunge pool, and that's what I've done in this instance. That's always got the bubbles and the movement, a little bit of drama. That can look really interesting. But just in front of me, there's a few little cascades. You might want to use a smaller cascade in the foreground and then the bigger falls in the background. And when I say bigger falls, that's the other thing about waterfall photography. You don't need something that, I don't know, 12 foot tall. You don't need some monster like I got when I was in Iceland at Skogafoss and Seljangafoss. Even small little cascades, little trickles, they can really look fantastic. Because you don't have any man-made objects in the scene, you don't have that scale, so even a little trickle can actually look really good. It's worth also talking about water flow. I'm quite a fan of when waterfalls are just nothing much more than a trickle. And when you do a long exposure, you get that sort of ethereal, wispy look. Too much water, it just ends up being a whiteout. It's also a nightmare controlling the spray that gets all over your camera. So sometimes smaller waterfalls, smaller flows are just more enjoyable and much nicer to photograph. The perceived wisdom as far as conditions go for a waterfall is it's flat, dull days, overcast days are best. You get some nice flat light. And that's true, and I do tend to work with that. But I don't get hung up if it's a bright sunny day. In fact, today the sun keeps breaking through the clouds. And I've mentioned this many times on my own channel. If you can control those hot spots, those highlights, and that's the reason why people like overcast days, because you get that flat light and you don't get any of these hot spots. But if you can control them, what you can find is you end up with an almost tropical feel to your image, and especially in summer, when all the ferns and the bracken's out, you can transform a little waterfall in Wales into something that looks like it's in Tahiti. So as far as camera settings go, I always shoot in manual, and the driving force for the image is always going to be shutter speed. Again, the perceived wisdom, 1/6 of a second to maybe half a second, that's certainly a good starting point. The idea for that is it'll give you some movement and some texture in the water, but you'll still retain plenty of detail, plenty of texture in the flow. If you go any further than that, any longer than that, you end up with, if you go like a 1 or a 2 second exposure, what you end up with is something that looks like, what people say, it looks like milk. I actually think it looks like emulsion paint. You just lose all detail, and it just looks like the whole scene's been whitewashed. Yeah, it's not so pleasing to the eye. But every rule's there to be broken. There is an exception to the rule, and that's the foreground that I've got here. So I'm using just the plunge pool. At many waterfalls, it's a really obvious bit of foreground. You've got movement, you've often got bubbles, and you can get them swirling round. And that means you're going to need a longer exposure, sometimes 4 or 5, maybe even 10 seconds to be honest. So that can be used in the foreground. But as far as the main falls go, yep, I always start at 1/6 to half a second. But I'm a big fan of experimentation. I'll take many shots, lots of different shutter speeds. So what I tend to find when I look back at the images with all the different shutter speeds is actually I like a few different shots, and I like to blend them together. Perhaps a longer exposure for the plunge pool, a faster exposure for the main falls, but that's slightly more advanced, so we'll save that for another week. We'll stick to just the beginner basics. So yeah, to be honest, just get yourself here, get your wellies on, get in the water and experiment. See what you can do, see what you can find at your local waterfall. Another thing I like to do when I'm at a waterfall is just forget the big waterfall entirely. I mentioned earlier that little cascades can look absolutely fantastic because you've got no sense of scale, no man-made objects. Well, a trick I like to do is zoom right in. So I've stepped back, I'm quite away now from where I was stood before. I've put on the 24 to 200mm lens. I'm zoomed in, I think I'm about 180, I might even be at the full 200mm. So by zooming in on those little details, as I mentioned before, there's no scale, there's no man-made objects. And what you get is just that water as it comes down and crashes on the rocks, sending spray in all directions, and you get all that drama, that excitement. And that waterfall could be hundreds of feet high or just a few inches high. It's still really pleasing to the viewer. They have no frame of reference, so all they get is the pleasure of the image. I think that's what it is about waterfalls and why they're my favourite kind of photography. I love that drama, I love the power of the water, but also I love the serenity. I mean, I keep shouting at the camera because there's the noise of the rushing water, but yet it's so peaceful here. It's a real two sides to the scene. The noise and the drama, and yet the peace of just being here in this woodland, in this forest. I haven't seen another person, I haven't seen a soul. Yeah, it's a lovely place to be, and I really do encourage you to get out there and find a waterfall. Well, I really hope you enjoyed that little insight into how and why I shoot waterfalls. Out of nowhere, typical Wales, the heavens have opened, it's raining and I'm getting a little bit cold. But not as cold and as chilly as Steve and Martin were over on a sunrise shoot at Cannock Chase. Let's jump over and join them.
I'm out with the walker himself, that man who, you know, does the stuff. There he is now, look.
Stephen, be kind. Naughty.
Martin. Arjakovic, or something like that.
Oh, don't know what to say. I can see your point, Steve.
We can't miss another opportunity. It's the last real day of the frost, I believe, and it is cold. And
Brain freeze.
we've got this beautiful light again, this beautiful sunrise. Same place where I was yesterday, same location. And
It's so cold his mouth stopped working.
taking similar shots, but because we've got more atmosphere this morning, so the shots are different. And we can refine what I did yesterday as well, which is quite nice. I might just get Martin in here and ask him what he's thinking about this composition that we'll be going over. So, Martin, first of all, what do you think of this morning, the conditions?
Oh, it's amazing, absolutely beautiful. Oh, we've got runners.
Here, they could add a sense of scale, or you could capture the human element.
Can you get round the tripods?
What are you saying, Steve?
We will when you run through and we'll get you in it, yeah. Yeah, it'll be even better then, won't it?
I don't normally suffer from the cold, as you know.
No, you don't, no.
It's very rare for me to wear gloves,
Yeah.
but I need them this morning. It's that cold, my tripod's completely frozen up. I could not open the legs at all. Took a trick from this guy, got my coffee out, put it over the joints on the tripod, and it's
What I found with tripods, just going on tripods, is I find that the clip legs don't seem to freeze as much as the twisty ones.
I think so, and I think as well what I should have done, which I didn't do last week, when I was here in the rain, the freezing rain, I didn't dry the tripod before I put it away.
Yeah,
So all that moisture's been sitting there for a week in the back of my car.
all in the thread. Yeah.
All in the thread. I've come
Yeah.
out this morning, walked 10 minutes from the van.
Morning, you all right?
Okay.
All right.
Honestly, boys, your faces. Where are you going with this?
We've on a run.
Oh, God.
Haven't we? I think we're in the middle of a park run here.
No, normally I don't see
There's
anybody.
going to be like 300 people come up over the ridge line in a minute and take us all out. No, but yeah, what was I saying? Yeah,
Tripods.
left my tripod in the back of the car, come out this morning, 10 minutes walk from the van. In that very short period, it's frozen up, and
Yeah.
I've eventually managed to free it.
Yeah.
But you asked me about the composition that we've got here.
Yes, the composition. What do you think?
Love it. In fact, I wish I'd taken it from this exact spot where you're standing now. And in fact, I may come here very shortly once he's finished planning around. Because actually, you've got more of a sweep here. I was
It's
over there, and you don't get the same sweep.
There's a lot to think about, actually, isn't there?
Yeah. Just by coming back 2 meters,
Yeah, yeah.
transforms
Yeah.
the composition.
Yeah.
It is rather good.
I think
I hate this
for me that bush on the left-hand side can cause a problem, and there's a bush right in the distance that can cause a problem in certain atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing with the bush. That bush that's in the middle of the frame, really, just trying to
Yes.
position it between these sort of
Yep.
trees that are lining each side of the path here. That bush, I'm not concerned about. I'm
Yeah.
probably going to end up removing that in post.
I think you've either got to incorporate it completely or get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. But that's sort of from here, the problem with this bush is you've got this little bush in front of it again, which is a problem.
Yeah. That's what Photoshop was invented for.
The thing is, you're taking an image with processing in mind, aren't you? So
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, whether that's intentionally removing it or whatever, looks like it's going to change any minute now as well, because the sun is just about to
cresting
poke
over
through.
over the edge of the ridge, isn't it? Yeah.
So I think we should probably
Crack on, chaps.
get a few more shots from here, because this light is going to be amazing.
Yes.
Really is gonna be
Grab it while we
amazing.
can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. we've done at this location. Sun is now half an hour up, but there's a lot of atmosphere down in the valley there, so we're going to head down towards the valley, see if we can capture some of this atmosphere. The frost is going nowhere. We've got plenty of time to photograph that. Let's try and get down and see if we can get something with all this gorgeous golden light coming through this haze. Let's do it.
Let's be honest, these are conditions that landscape photographers dream of. Ones that are so rare that they live in the memory for such a long time. Photos from these days, well, they're awesome. Literally awesome.
So again, I was here yesterday, and you know what, that's such an advantage, knowing where to come and scouting the area beforehand, because I knew this area would be exactly like this morning, but better. The reason why it's better is we've got a little bit of atmosphere, and I'm an hour or so earlier this morning, so we've got a bit of side golden light, beautiful, plus an extra hint of hoarfrost. So there's one tree here, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's got to be taken. We've got to photograph it. It's just wonderful. This real narrow silver birch with just this bit on the top, and it must be 20 metres high. But what I like about it as well, behind it we've got the light coming through the forest behind. That nice warm light coming through, just hinting through. Fantastic. This probably wouldn't happen any other time of the morning. Again, timing can be critical, well, is critical. Martin's just gone a little bit further back because he's seen a composition down here which he's trying to get a little bit of elevation to get separation. But this looks truly amazing, and I could see me ending up walking back up the hill here and getting some shots as well. But for now, we'll concentrate on this, get a couple more of this, and then we'll see what else we can get.
Well, thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you haven't already done so, please consider liking and subscribing. It'd really help us out and we'd really appreciate it. While we're on the subject, if you have a look in the description below, you'll find links to all our individual YouTube channels. And we'd really appreciate if you just jumped over and maybe had a little bit of a watch of those channels. Also, if you like the idea of a fun, free photography group, a lovely community, why not pop over to Facebook and find us on there? Just do a quick search for Thumbs Up Photography. We'd love to see you there. So for now, just like to end the episode with a quick slideshow of all of this week's images, and we'll see you next time.
Next time on Thumbs Up Photography, Martin explores a new woodland, Steve seeks out some deer once he's stopped panting, Dave explores some classic London nightscapes, and Gary explores a folly in the Dales. By the way, where the hell is Colin?